Hi, welcome to Dog Fanatic. I am Penny McKinney, your host. Disclaimer as always, I am not a veterinarian. I specialize, I'm a groomer, pet groomer, certified professional groomer. I've been one for most of my life. And I wanted today to talk about puppy mills, dogs from puppy mills, dogs who have been abused, dogs that are mentally, they've had a hard time mentally. This is a story. There are many dogs that I deal with that have been in puppy mills. They've been abused. They're scared to death of everything, and it's how I get them out of it and to become the dog that their inner dog is what I call it. Um, and what we do and what we need to change as human beings because we feel so bad for these dogs. So I have a couple that adopted bought Lucy. Adoption is a wrong name. This was a golden retriever kennel. It was up in northern Maine. That's all I know. I don't know the town because I would definitely say something. But anyway, they decided they wanted a golden retriever. This couple, they're a lovely couple. They love Lucy, and she's done incredibly well. They can't get over her progress since she's met me. They came to me for grooming and they told me about her. And I said, well, you're coming to the right place because I specialize in behavior. So I've been working with her and teaching the parents how to work with her. She has come to me 2 times. The first time, as you can see by the picture, she's a nervous wreck. I did get her. When she came, she wouldn't get out of the car. She was pooping in the car everywhere because she was so scared. And when the owners went to go see her. Let me backtrack, sorry. When the owners went to go see her, they were not allowed to bring in a camera. They were not allowed to bring in the phone. They were not allowed to take pictures, and they were not allowed to talk to anybody about where they were going to be going. They did take them through the house first. It was a mansion. They were oohing and awing over that, which is great. All I know is that she's a bigger woman, and she loves the dogs because she has a house. So she had 75 dogs, adults. However, she says that, I don't know, I haven't seen, that she told them that they had cut back to 50 adults. Now, I don't know if that means 48 females and 2 males. I don't know. But supposedly they're golden retrievers. I don't know what other breeds are there. But anyway, so they agreed not to bring in the camera, not to talk too much about it. And they went in and they saw this dog, and she was in a kennel. She was not in a large 6-foot kennel. She was in a very kennel, and she had been peeing and pooping in it. It was big enough for her to do, stand up, turn around, lay down, that kind of thing. So she had been peeing and pooping all over the kennel and being fed in it. So all she did was lay down. And that's what she did. She didn't know how to walk on a leash. She didn't know anything about human beings, and they felt so bad for her. They didn't have to talk about it. They wanted her. Well, after paying the $500 just to get in the building, that she could go see the dogs, they could go see the dogs. Now they wanted $3,000 for her because she's a golden retriever. So that's all I know. That's all they'll say. But anyway, I have my own feelings about it. I just thought I would share. Like I said, I don't know exactly where this is, but it is all over the place. It's not just here. There's a lot of places like that. Anyway, so they come here. Lucy wouldn't get out of the car, so I walked out. They're older. I walk out. Not that I'm not. They walk. They come in here and asked if I was ready for Lucy, and I said, yeah, yeah. And I was waiting and they didn't come. So I went out and I got her out of, I had to kind of pull her body over and then I picked her up and carried her in. She was 10 months old at the time. They had had her for a month and she was doing better, but she wasn't doing much as far as I was concerned. She's very reactive. She's scared of everything. She's afraid of people. She's afraid of dogs. She does tend to like kids. I'm finding out. We're finally finding things out about her true self. So anyway, they had her for about a month, and what they had been doing is carrying her, and then they pat her and feel bad for her, and then they don't they kind of lay on the floor and play with her and go over to her. A lot of times, and I'm going to give you my suggestions, and this is what they're doing now, and this is why there's some changes. I specialize in canine behavior, and I know I can put myself in the place of the dog. And I've been in situations where I understand how she feels. That's as far as I'll go about me. So I understand a dog when they're feeling like that. So the I had to get her out. So I pick her up out of the car. They shut the door behind me, and I carry her into my shop, and I bring her in, and I put her on the floor, and she sprawls out. Her front paws are splayed out in front behind her, and her rear feet are tucked up underneath her really tight. And she's obviously scared. So I didn't want her getting out, so I locked the door because she's going to be she gets out, we'll never get her because she's scared to death. So the first visit that she was here, I contributed to her. I have to admit, I felt bad for her, which is what they had been doing. They bring the food to her, they pat her, they make of her, they tell her, oh, poor girl, which is good that we feel bad for them, but it's probably not the best thing in the world because after I was done grooming, I had her here, and I didn't put her on the table because she has enough going on in her life. She doesn't need to be afraid of that right now. I'll work that in later. But anyway, I put her in the tub, and she was okay. I mean, she's very submissive. So, but she wouldn't stand. So I um, kind of put my arm underneath her waist and pick her up, and I'm trying to bathe her. The problem is that I mean, they had tried to get out the urine and feces out of her, but they couldn't really do a good job because she won't stand. So I was just working with her. I gave her like four shampoos, um, and I was just working on her. Her fur, as you can see, like under her neck, it was all like brownish, and her feet were brownish, and she's just completely discolored. Her ears had changed colors. Her leggings on her feet had changed. It was darker. You can when she, you know how dogs when they curl up and they kind of put their paws underneath them, which looks like a really unnatural position, but cats do it too, and it's kind of comforting for them to do that. So like where her wrist is, I guess you would call that on a dog. Um, that had also darkened from laying in feces and urine, and she had this smell that was really, really, really strong. And she, underneath, she had urine burn, and she'd just been sitting in it for so long, and it really hadn't gotten off of her. Underneath her ears were still there was stuff, same thing, urine and feces there. She was just coated in it everywhere. And her parents, they just looked at her when I got her in here and she was on the floor, and they said, "We don't know what to do." And they were in tears. They were literally crying. And I didn't know what to do at that moment in time. I Because you feel bad. You can't help that. You feel terrible because you go to where the dog was in your head. You go to where the dog was and how you would feel when you're in a kennel. This is what I did. And being stuck there for so many months. And when I picked her up, I could feel she had absolutely no muscle tone. She wasn't walking. She still wasn't walking. So I just, I felt bad. I needed some time to think because this was worse than what I had imagined. And it's funny, since I've, not funny, haha, since I've had Lucy, I've had others. It's kind of strange, but when I guess I open myself up to it and people just kind of come, or dogs come this way, And a lot of groomers won't deal with dogs like this because it's too much. It's just too difficult. And so she, as I don't know if you're looking at the video or not. There is a video here as well, but you can see by her behavior there, she's scared to death. She's all curled up. She doesn't know what to do with herself. She doesn't know how to act. She doesn't know how to behave. She just wants to get away. She wants to go. She likes to go try to crawl in a corner, and she doesn't stand up to walk to the corner. She pushes herself like a turtle. You know how they crawl on the beach when they go in the water, kind of like a turtle. And she crawls over to the corner to try and just get away. And I don't like dogs in the corner because it feels that they must feel like they don't want to be anywhere. They're trying to hide. They're trying to go away. Um, so anyway, I continue with her. She's in the tub. She won't stand. So I get my arm underneath her waist and I pick her up. And so all of her front goes down and she pushes down in the tub. And I was like, well, she's got to rinse. So it's kind of like a seesaw game with her. So I take my arm up to the front of her and I've got her front up and then her back goes down. And then she kind of curls in a ball and um, twists around so that her whole body is laying down in the tub. So it's really hard to rinse her. But I do work by myself and I work by myself for a reason because sometimes people get hot headed. And because I specialize in behavior, I don't need that. I don't want it here. I need to be understanding and I love what I do and I figure out what I do and I do the best that I can. And I've got the parents all on board with me. Whatever they want, we talk about it completely before I do anything and what I may do. And they're completely on board. I'm not the groomer instructing them. We're teammates. It's the dog, what's best for the dog, what's best for me, what's best for the parents. I call it a triangle. But we all work together because we all want the same results. In the end, we want the same results, all three of us, or four of us, however many parents are involved. So, um, so anyway, so I got done her first, and then the tub's draining, and then I try and rinse her out as much as possible, and do it again. And the last time I did it 4 times. The last bath, I just let her soak for a half hour because she still smelled. And I was trying to get as much of that out as possible. After that fourth bath, after soaking a half hour, I put conditioner on her. And I particularly gave her a lot of conditioner underneath, especially where she had like that burn, because the conditioner will calm that down. It's all natural conditioner. It just calms down the sting, it calms down the smell, it'll calm down the hair because the hair was very harsh. And so it was, I want to describe it without, it was very thick, but it had absorbed so much urine and feces that it was thick and like greasy and coarse and very unhealthy. So I was kind of assuming that she was probably eating and drinking a lot of the urine and feces as well because of the condition that she was in. Um, Kind of didn't say that to parents, but and I don't believe they're older. They're not going to hear this, but she's yeah. So I just kind of observed her a lot while I was working with her. When I was finally done, I rinsed the conditioner out as much as possible. With conditioner, one thing that's good to know for the general public is if you can't get it completely rinsed out, it's okay because the conditioner will only help in the long run, especially with a situation like that. I did rinse it out, but I leave a little bit. You don't want her caked in conditioner, but a little bit's not going to hurt her. It kind of soothes their coat, and it adds protection for dogs that haven't had the best of care in the past. Okay, so I get her out of the tub and I put her on the floor, and guess what she did? Yep, she's in a ball and she's not moving. So uh, I pick up a little bit and then I go back to her and I get a bunch of towels, put them down on the floor, and lay her on top of that and I use the blower. there's a nozzle part you usually put on a blower. I don't even go there. I'm not going to use that on her because um, she'd run out of her skeleton. It would scare her too much. So I took the nozzle off, which made the air coming out calmer, steady, a little warmer because of the engine was heating it up a little bit, but it wasn't a heating dryer. It was just a blower. So and then when I was blowing her off, I kind of held the dryer or blower, the end of it in my hand. So I was patting her, but I was patting her with the dryer. So that way she felt like she was drying, but she was also getting patted at the same time. So it was a little easier for her to accept because she definitely does like attention. She likes to get patted, but she just doesn't know what to do with herself because that's a new thing. She's not used to that at all. So after I get her partially dry on the part that's exposed, then I go over and get other towels, and then I lay her on the towels where her coat is dry and flip her over on the other side because she's still not standing. And I repeat and continue drying and work on that. So she's mostly dry. It's taking a while because she's all so tight and curled up and trying to get away. She's just not happy at all. So anyway, I worked with her and I got her done. I got her dried. And the parents said, I remember when I was all done, the parents said that she couldn't walk. So my goal for that day was to get her to walk to her parents. And she wasn't walking at home. And she would just whimper and cry. And she just wasn't doing anything. She wasn't walking on a leash. They had to carry her places, carry her into the vet, carry her out of the vet, just to be checked. And she's doing okay physically, but emotionally, mentally, she was just petrified and tormented. And I needed to do something about this, but I also needed to think about it. So I did get her into a standing position. And so you go backtrack. Yeah, I backtrack when I deal with behavior dogs. I go back to, okay, pretend she's a puppy. Pretend I've never worked with her before. Pretend she is scared to stand, which she is. So I pick her up like I had with my arm underneath her waist, and then her front went down, of course, again. So then I take her legs and I put them underneath her where she should be standing. And then I tickle her belly. And so she just kind of stood there, kind of contorted a little bit, but she's standing, sort of, in a way. And so that's progress. So then I started brushing her and telling her, good girl. And when I get dogs that have been through a bad past, I catch myself, and I do this with a lot of the dogs, but especially the ones that have been abused in the past. I have a very, very quiet voice with them. And when I'm trying to soothe them, actually, when I talk about these kinds of dogs, my voice usually quiets down. I think it's a natural instinct for me. But I whisper to them a lot because they're so intimidated by people yelling, screaming, everything. So I tend to whisper to them. I'll try not to do that here, but that's what I do. And then I just tell her, oh, you're so good. Good girl. And it's just tiny, tiny baby steps. And I don't suggest that if people are in this kind of a situation, don't use treats, don't use snacks. It's an obese America. Let's get away from that. If you can give your dog praise and love and admiration and positivity, let's do that instead. And in fact, that causes bonding. Imagine that. Otherwise, dogs are bonding to food and they're not going to listen to you. So I don't even know where this food thing came in, unless you're in a show ring and you're looking for an expression. But it's not, don't treat your dog all the time because you're not going to have the right reactions that you are looking for. Um, that's not what treats are for. So anyway, her parents are coming in And so I'm whispering to her, Lucy, guess who's here? Guess who's here? And they come in, and I kind of keep her behind the gate until I see them inside because I didn't want her bolting out the door by any crazy means. And so they come in, they shut the door. I said, why don't you lock it just for the heck of it? So they locked the door behind them. And Lucy smelled them, and they were saying, "Hey, Lucy, hi, Lucy." And she took a couple of steps, which they were shocked that she hadn't seen them take any. They had never seen her take any steps. They'd had to carry her, move her, push her wherever. She has not walked willingly since she knew them. So she took a couple of steps and walked out to her and out to them, and they were just ecstatic. They were so happy that she took like 3 steps, but then she was down again. And so I told them, okay, so we set up grooming because every time I groom her, I'm also going to work with her. And I said, I need to go home and think about this. So since then, the second time she came back, she's doing pretty soon now for the third time. The second time she came back, she wouldn't get out of the car. She pooped all over the car. And the parents were like, I don't know what to do. We're getting ready to give up on her. We just don't know what to do. And I said, just give me today. So and they went to their friend's house. And while they were there, I shampooed her, conditioned her. She was starting to stand up in the tub. So, I mean, I saw little changes, not a ton of them, but a little bit. And so I was kind of encouraged by that, telling her, good girl, good girl. When I was done, I put some bows in her hair. This is the second, if you're looking at the pictures, it's the third picture with the little purple feather bows. That is her at the end of the visit today. So as you can see, she's standing, yay, by herself. And that I was very happy with because she was standing quite a bit. She was standing for drying. I still have not got her on the table yet. She will go on the table the third or the fourth visit. But right now she's still got things to deal with. So after she was done, I called parents and I said, there's a halter that she's got and she's afraid of it. And I said, I took that off. I'm just going to use a slip lead because she's scared to death of a halter and I'm not going to do that to her. So pick your battles, but I'm not going to put that on her. So I told them to meet me by the waterfront in Hollowell. So we went down to the waterfront. But on the way, there's a bunch of people here in Hollowell. It's a really cool little town, and I love it here. And I met a bunch of people. It was a sunny day, and we walked down towards the waterfront, and there were some people, and I was like, "Ah, I could use this." So I told them that, look, she's had a really bad past. She was raised in a tiny kennel and she's not used to people. If there is any way that you guys could pat her, talk to her, make of her, so she isn't afraid of big people, men and women. And they're like, oh, we're dog lovers. We got this. We can do this. So they spent quite a long time with her. And I was so appreciative. And Lucy was down on the ground, but she was wagging her tail. So I was happy with that. And then they had to go. And I said, thank you so much. And they said, no, thank you. So it was great. The typical Hollowell people, they're wonderful. And then we walked a little further. And then we ran across a couple more people. And I went through the same thing. And they were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, no problem. We love dogs. So then this time, while they were talking to her, I kind of snuck behind and I was holding her up by her waist. I said, she always tries to throw herself down on the ground. And the little boy said, Mama, why does she throw herself on the ground? I said, because she isn't used to standing up. She's used to laying down her whole life. So I'm trying to teach her that she can stand up. And he said, oh, poor girl. And he walked over and he gave her a hug and he was talking to her and he was telling Lucy, you're okay. You're going to be happy now and you don't have to lay down anymore. And it was just, oh my God, pulling on the heartstrings there. It was really, really sad. But I know I helped her by standing, but she stood. So the next couple of people I met went through the same thing. I feel like I'm reading a child's storybook. I'm not, though. So the third group of people I met, I went through the same thing, and they had kids too. So this time I didn't have to get her to stand up. She stood up on her own while they came over and said hi to her, and they were lovely. They spent probably 3 or 4 minutes with her, and I was like, oh, thank you so much. So then we made it down to the waterfront, down a little hill to the waterfront. And I love it there. It's just a great place to be. So down there, I was like, okay, Lucy, we got to do this. There's things that we have to do, we have to accomplish today. And out of the corner of my eye, I could see her parents coming down in their vehicle. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go. So I took her on the leash and she plopped her body down. I said, and so I started walking and I clapped and, tapped my leg and I said, come on, Lucy. And I started jogging. Well, guess who jogged right next to me? We were running around on the dock near the water. And I was like, good girl, good girl, good girl. And her parents got out of the car and both of their mouths were like hanging wide open. And they were like, oh my God, what did you do? Who is this dog? And I said, this is the dog we're going to work with from now on. We're not going to feel bad for her. We're not going to keep her in yesterday because we're keeping her there. We need to move her ahead to tomorrow. So, so that was great. And they saw what she could do. And I introduced her to different things. We have granite in this area in Maine, a lot of granite, the granite state. That's why. And so there was some flat granite rocks down near the waterfront. And I needed to introduce her to things. So I introduced her to a large granite flat rock. She did not want to get on it, but I made her. So she didn't get on it. She wanted to run around it on both sides. And I was like, mm-mm. So I kept a short leash and I encouraged her. And finally, she jumped over the rock, but she did put one paw on it and then she made it to the other side. And I was like, "Oh," and then she started wagging her tail and being all happy. And I was like, oh, this is a new girl. I like this one. And her parents were like, what did you do to her? What did you do? I'm like, this is what you're going to do to her now. So I had her mom take her for a walk up and down the dock. And she said, oh my God, she's walking. And then I said, no, I want you, because she was afraid of dad, to take her for a walk. He says, no, no, I can't. I said, no, you have to. We have to break through the sadness, the depression, and we have to show that it's happy to be with you. And I want you to be excited, happy, motivated. And he did. He went for a walk and Lucy went with her and he was crying. He's like, I didn't think she would ever feel like this about me. I said, okay, now when you're walking, a lot of show people will tap their dog's chest. They do 2 chaps, and that excites the dog. So as you're walking, every once in a while, I want you to tap her chest, like 1, 2, and then get ready to go for a walk. And he was doing that, and she was motivated, and her tail was wagging. And he's like, what did you do? I'm like, we just needed to do this, and it's done. And so after I was all done with this was her training period. It wasn't a long time. I'm doing this for free because I have a love of dogs. So because they keep saying how much money, I'm like, no, this is for me as much it is for you, as much as it is for her. Let the money go. Don't even think about it. And they said, okay, we have to go, but every time we go, she poops in the car and we don't want that to happen. I said, okay, let's not. I said, you said that she's bonded to mom. So mom, get in the back seat on the other side. And I said, I'm going to put her front feet in, but then just wait. So I put her front feet in the back seat. Mom's in the back seat on the other side. And then I said, okay, talk to her. And she did talk to Lucy. And then Lucy, as dad bent over he was, it had been a little while. Dad bent over to pick her up, to help her out. I was like, nope. And then she stood up and she got in the car on herself. She did not get in the seat, but there was not poop everywhere. There was no diarrhea. And I said, for a little while, we're going to have mom sit in the back until she gets used to getting in the car by herself. And we're going to make bigger strides. This is only the second visit, and she has had leaps and bounds, and we're going to keep this up. And I just keep doing this at home. Do not feel bad for her. Let her be the dog that we know that she is today, and the better dog that she will be tomorrow, and love her and enjoy her. And then they took off. And that is the story of Lucy. And hopefully many more to come. It's sad how many puppy mills and abuse situations there are, but we've got to get those dogs out of that frame of mind. We can't keep them there. Okay, thank you for listening to Dog Fanatic. And remember to write in the comments if you would like me to go over anything, and diseases, illnesses, questions, grooming, anything. Just write in the comments what you would like me to go over, and I will do that. And please subscribe. Thank you. And you have yourself a great day.